So, it's been 10 years. We've actually made it. We went through about 3 different animated characters, hours and hours of tossing about on camera, and starting all the way back in my childhood bedroom, eventually moving out when I went to university, and moving again. One last time. And now I'm sitting outside talking to a literal brick wall, while truthfully being back in that same childhood bedroom, only now it looks completely different. Time is a flat circle. I want to appreciate this loop one more time before I move on for good. This is actually the first time my room is appearing as the backdrop on video, so it's kind of difficult to do a greatest hits compilation when half the stuff is like scripted review skits, and then half of it is old Smash Bros montages that aren't very good for that matter, which makes it harder to put into a greatest hits compilation. They don't coherently go together. So to begin, I've got a friend here. Introduce yourself.
Alright, hello, I am Kirby the Meme Man. I make Gmod videos that are awesome and epic.
So, we've every so often go back through each other's old stuff and rewatch things, but, I don't think we've ever actually had a reason to watch Ganondorf Master Riffs, and there's an ad I'm not being paid for. Oh, So, this was basically a video of me thinking on proper wham for fighting against the CPU. And I wanted to be unique because at the time all I had was a Wii U gamepad. But I could edit in music through an online YouTube browser editor that was a part of YouTube that didn't actually function properly at all on the internet browser. I could put clips in. I could put text in, I could put music in, but I couldn't actually preview anything, so I had no idea if it was in frame, if it was timed well. But I initially put some audio to this of a stock YouTube song, but I thought I was really cool because I was like, oh, look at this video from the in-game upload system that has an original song. I think time has taken that song away from us.
Yeah. Now just kind of sad with no music.
But yes, this is a video that was originally titled Ganondorf Master Race, but I went back way later and changed that to what it is now. So yeah, this one's a classic.
Yeah. Oh, that's
absolute cinema.
9 years ago.
Absolute cinema. And I say this to make it dated to 10 years ago in 10 years. Full circle.
Awesome.
I have said my piece on this one plenty of times.
Yeah.
The short version is, I think it's terrible, it's outdated, and if you want to know what I thought about 5 years ago, here you go. Hi there. 5 years ago today I released my first ever Christmas special, A Smashing Christmas. The thing is essentially a 15-minute short film made entirely using the Wii U's in-game upload system, edited on nothing but a Chromebook. It was quite an ambitious project to do at the time, only having access to a Wii U and a Google Chrome internet browser, but it kick-started me into doing what I do now, and although it's like some random video I made 5 years ago, I'm just internally grateful for it, that it's got me here, and I just wanted to do something to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of it. So welcome to my picture-on-picture commentary track. So, A Smashing Christmas is a video I made in 2015, released on December 18th, and I really wanted to be ambitious and just make essentially some big, like, just Smash Bros, like, story video with I hate this. I absolutely hate this. Oh, Christ. It was created on Wii Video, which is an entirely online video editor, and there wasn't even technically there wasn't keyframes. It was like an A to B system. Yeah, so you can have start keyframe, end keyframe, and it'd be the entire life of the media on the timeline. So you can't do anything creative. No mask tool, which is what I use in everything now. But here's the start. It's inspired by For Glory, apparently, where people who play Little Mac are notoriously Right, and then there's this. See, I want to really just talk out my mindset through this, but I was 13 at the time and don't remember anything from it now. This I remember. This was a joke in like videos I made when I was like 10 in Roblox. Text would just go by really quick, and I accidentally did the same for this, but because the editor's so crap I couldn't go back and redo it, so I just made a self-aware joke that the text goes by too quick to read. It's not really funny. If anything, it's an inconvenience to you. Anyway, Bowser just knocked out a child. A child wakes up, looks around, then Christmas spirit. Originally, there's Shurshid. I don't think this was his first major appearance in anything I've made, but it establishes that he exists. That is the River Thames, and it's from a video of a guy jumping into it from a commentary channel that I watched at the time. I just needed footage of some mank river, or ocean rather, and that was the only thing I could think of, so I just zoomed in on the river in the clip of him jumping off the bridge. I thought that was pretty cool and cinematic. Obviously now on the Switch I could actually make that without using JPEG images. There's a cave. That was funny at the time, I promise. So you'll notice in a second the Wii Video watermark disappears. That's because Wii Video had a thing where if you're on a free account, which I was on, for one time you can export a video as if you're a premium user without the watermark or anything. There was meant to be YouTube annotations on this, but obviously they're gone now. Anyway, my plan was to have the entire video rendered with like the premium trial thing, but I rendered the start to show someone, and that deducted from the time on the premium like test thing for some reason. So what I had to do is I couldn't go back and change anything in the first bit. Then I made a new account which the rest of the video was edited on. Like Christ. But essentially, while I really don't like this now, I thought at the time it was very impressive. I finally found an online video editor I could use via a Chromebook, so I still didn't have actual tools. But it was a big narrative, all the shots were like staged and performed, acted out and scripted. As much as I hate this now, because it's cringe, basically, I have to appreciate it for it being my jump from stupid, terrible Smash Bros. Montages to narrative.
Stupid montages with a plot, basically.
Yeah, the climax of this is a montage, but firstly the gameplay's terrible, but also, wow.
Yeah, nice one. One button you press there.
So I was originally a part of a week's schedule for build-up to Christmas episodes, and instead of ending on the big narrative plot, I started there and instantly went to a really low quality.
Yeah,
Just
I see.
for
This is
glory
when Cloud
gameplay.
came out, right?
Yes, it was. And there's another one of these unlisted now, where I was too poor to get Cloud, so I did an anti-Cloud montage.
Ah, that's funny.
That would have been way cooler if I didn't mess up trying to knock a disrespect several times.
You were fishing for that so bad.
And I still used it.
Yeah. Oh, this stage, what a throwback.
No, that was quite good to be fair. That
was alright.
You've just been red.
That was...
None of that was necessary. That could have just been at the forward smash read when they got up from the ledge. That was completely pointless. Nice. Miss. Nice. Alright. Oh, that was like average gameplay.
Unfortunately, it was against Smash 4 Sheik, so... Is this going to be a finishing touch? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what half of it is.
Yeah. Cloud was like one of the best characters in this game, and he had like a million different kill moves, and you use like 2 of them.
No, I got a basic meteor smash. Give me credit.
The same basic meteor smash you hit like 5 times.
Okay, that was good. That was good.
Yeah,
that was cinema.
right.
Cinema.
Yeah, that was good.
Good reference.
Yeah.
I think when I made these, I was like 5 years too late to the Guile's theme goes of everything bit. But I still thought it was the funniest thing ever, because I was like 13.
Yeah.
Nah, that was embarrassing for that Diddy Kong.
Yeah.
Also embarrassing for me that I hit a basic down air and instantly, like, missed the recovery.
Yeah.
But way more embarrassing than a Diddy Kong who taunted. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah. Happy 2013.
So, this video with Donkey Kong, I really wanted to make into a full, proper montage, but I just couldn't because Wii Video was poor. So I just had to settle with using the basics.
Yeah.
Using the basics could be used to describe my entire like gameplay, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, I can't lie. Until I whiffed that forward smash, or forward air rather, that was really good. Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought that was really funny and just wouldn't let the joke die.
Had to prove that you won that match.
I should go back to this now and like add all the stupid like, energy effects I really wanted to as a kid.
Stop it. Get some help.
Breathe slowly as you hold this pose.
So at this point, I was still looking for software to use on my PC to edit, and I found Source Filmmaker.
So you just made Scout running?
And the first thing I did was a test. Most people wouldn't upload a test to their main outlet, but alas, here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. How do you have flaws in a video of a guy running? Yes, okay, I see now. I re-recorded the same instance several times and didn't get rid of the, the duplicates. That's a terrible sentry placement.
What's it doing on the floor?
Success. We have secured the enemy intelligence.
But I came off the back of that. I researched. I didn't. I just went straight back into it. But I then made my first proper SFM, which didn't have animation, but had keyframes. And just random models I found that I thought were really funny.
Oh, I just realised that's the moon.
It's not possible!
You know what? I kind of liked that mouth animation, but it's entirely, like... it's entirely made pointless by the fact that you could easily sync up narration in game to the bottles and have it automatically done for you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, check out my cool teleport.
So at this point, we basically went from faffing about doing whatever to fully scripted stuff, which means, and with perfect timing, so yeah, here's the curated montage.
Hello, and welcome to Text to Talk, an experimental series to learn the editing style of review-like videos. Today we'll be looking at the classic Nintendo 64 game, Super Mario 64.
But Bloops, we already know what Super Mario 64 is. There's already enough
Stop.
reviews on
No. Upon entering the castle, you are given a message from Bowser setting the plot of the game. However, shortly after starting you will see a star within a cage, being guarded by a chain chomp. At this point, you may want to try getting into the cage, or you can continue on your path to the mountain top. Let's get this out of the way. The logic in this battle makes no sense. You need to get behind King Bob, pick him up, and throw him onto the ground 3 times. However, if you throw him off the mountain, it doesn't count as a hit. What? Why? And then you get a star.
Good job.
On a side note, part of this game's soundtrack is original music, while there are also licensed songs mixed in there, so this review will most likely consist of music from Mario Kart, although the next song about to play is from Diddy Kong Racing for a comedic effect. Story mode is the main chunk of this game. The game itself is, sort of, unique. It follows realistic racing games closer than it does to games such as Mario Kart and Sega All-Stars Racing. However, the game feels a lot more floaty than realistic racers, with drift mechanics I can only describe as soap.
God motor dashing.
The other 3 mechanics worth noting are tilt, boost and driving in reverse, one of which has purpose. And finally the speed boost. You unlock this after the event Boostin' with Fillmore, where Fillmore literally gives you drugs. The date is January 2nd, 2013. The YouTube channel Vinesauce uploaded a video entitled Gmod RP. In this video, channel owner Vinny was shown to wander through the servers of Gary's mod asking people to, and I quote,
Hello, it's RP.
The streets of downtown have remained rather quiet since the events of the Vinesauce series. However, the servers of RP were hitting their highest player count in recorded history on the day of April 2nd. This was a beautiful day for server owners, although many others recognize this date as the Day of Reckoning. Or to be more specific, the release of Gmod RP II. The character of Jurgid seemed to have broke free from being a mere joke, and had taken over the mind, creating a split personality. Not only did this change the perspective of his series, but the effects started to break out, warping reality as we know it.
Beyond this door awaits you the amazing Dr. Robotniks. Are you sure you wish to continue?
I've been stalling enough, so I'd like to welcome my guest onto the show. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Feel free to express anything you'd like to.
Hi, I am Kermit the Frog, and I guess I should probably tell my story, how I interacted with Jared, I guess. And then one day, he comes over to my house, and I guess I got my answer if we were just friends or if we were a little more. He asked me, do you want to RP? He explained what RPing is, and I said no.
So you've got Mario with your jumps and you can get Sonic with his speed. Now what do you get if you take Sonic? Sonic R is a racing game. Now this game here is often one of the only games released for the Sega Saturn many know about, and word usually says this is perhaps the worst game in the Sonic series. However, despite all of this, I actually really care for this game. In every track 5 Sonic coins are hidden. In addition to this, 2 Chaos Emeralds can be found. Emeralds are found behind ring gates, and while some take a simple stroll by to obtain, others take their time to hit the surface and become collectible. You also need to finish first place in order to obtain your emerald.
What's happening, Form? Today we're at the British Isles in search for a mystical being known as Wombat Racing. How about we take a look? In advance for this event, I've agreed to meet up with a local so we can discuss the whereabouts of this potential relic.
Oh, what Wombat is? I don't know what year it is. I just want to stop existing.
I'm in search of Wombat Racing. It's a PS2 game based on the first Star Wars movie. Do you know anything about it?
What the f*** are you on about?
You need to earn your Wombat. Fucking off.
And shit, slam it.
Breaking off, chuck it, start slamming. Show the measures to get this game. Well, I think we did it. Let's take it back, cops. Finally found a copy of Wombat. This was a horrible time. Never want to do this again. I'll make text to talk when I feel like it.
Kirby's Adventure sees the pink ball making his debut appearance on home consoles. Kirby is primarily known for his floating and ability to consume souls. It's even the front cover of the game.
That's impossible to do in the game! So I was playing Kirby's Adventure earlier, and you know what came to my attention? So where's the box art for the game? You've got Kirby floating and inhaling, but guess what? You can't do that in the actual game.
Throughout the short life this show has currently been through, I've covered a wide range of games, including childhood favourites and games from later on in my youth. Although there's been exceptions to the formula, I typically choose the games I cover here based on fond memories, which is what makes the subject of today's video a little more special, and thus my search began.
So I was just recording epic gameplay, and I've clipped myself into the wall and can't get out.
For the past 10 years or so, I've been actively trying to find the name of this game. It just seemed like something too obscure. I couldn't find any information on it anywhere. Although, to be fair, I was being extremely vague with my searches. Some time ago, I decided I'd look for others to see if they could help me in my quest to identify this game. It led me to a subreddit, and I you not within 10 minutes, somebody commented the exact name of the game I was looking for. My 10-year search was just destroyed by this one guy who found it in an instant. Under the option to purchase all of their games was the following message.
Sorry, we no longer sell any games. Our games have been open sourced and some can be downloaded for free from following project pages.
I downloaded an ISO of the game. However, that left me with an issue. As I played the ISO file, eventually I managed to find a way around this, and now all that's left is to look at the game itself. Buzzing Cars is a racing game. Kinda. It sees you, the player, take control of a humble mechanic. I'm not too sure what his name is, so let's just call him Gamer Jones. Gamer Jones sits at a remote station, operating a car through various missions across a multitude of environments, although most of which are industrial landscapes. Sometimes they change colour, That's pretty cool. It's been my lost piece of art for a while. I just called this art unironically. This part isn't scripted, I want to let you know. Most of this is unscripted. This game was a really significant thing in a small part of my youth, and it's just odd to see it have been sort of undocumented. So this video is dedicated to you buzzing cars.
Yeah, it's the worst game I've ever played.
In less than 2 hours, I managed to beat this game. I feel disgusted knowing the purchaser supporting the people who made this product. I cannot tell if somebody made this from a point of business or a point of irony. I'd like to imagine all good intent went into this game, but at the £15 price tag, the purchase was not worth the playthrough. For anybody unaware, Bubsy was the creation of Accolade back in the 90s. He started as another mascot platformer on the Super Nintendo, and it was terrible. After 3 platformers, Bubsy just fucked off for a year and eventually came back for Bubsy 3D. I'm sure we all know how well that went. After Bubsy 3D, the booker went into witness protection for 21 years, and eventually
He rose from the swamp.
What could possibly go wrong?
after every little action, Bubsy will say a quote that's just not funny, mate. Even when merely loading into levels, he has to snap that jaw open.
It's me, the Prince of Personality, Bubsy!
Bubsy! Oh.
By the way, you can turn this off. I only figured that out after I beat the game. Once you're in a level, you won't be impressed. Throughout the entire game, I recall being stunned by the genius of the level design twice. And I'm not meant to feel stunned by level design. Sonic Mania has amazing level design, but I can't just pick out when it's good because the entire game is well made. I don't need to think about it. A game like Portal doesn't make me go, shit! I can't believe that puzzle was so well made, because I can appreciate every map's design. Don't get me wrong, I do understand when a game has been well crafted, but when Bubsy does it, I feel like I've just gone on a pilgrimage. Actually, there was one attack I did find kind of interesting, although after the first time it just kind of lost all its charm. I mean, what else can I say? The game isn't really bad. I did admittedly enjoy my playtime through it at 1 in the morning in a voice call, but there was no real incentive to play the game. There wasn't any fair challenge throughout the entire experience, nor was there anything interesting outside the occasional background element. Thankfully, Bubsy the Woolies Come to Smethwick was as short as it was. The Woolies Come to Crazy Frog has been an icon of an era gone by, beloved by thousands and the devil's home for others. Throughout the early 2000s, that annoying thing was entirely unavoidable. Many different companies leapfrogged onto the trend for an attempt at profit. Jamba, or Yamba, kickstarted his success with the infamous ringtone that I'm sure we all know today. Many other companies followed behind looking for a way to grab hold of profits, and one of those companies was Neko Entertainment. I hope you go defunct. At a first glance, this game in general might just seem a bit shit. Which it is. Most of these new characters feel out of place in the Crazy Frog world though, to be honest. Although credit where it's due, the annoying drone has a really clever design which fits in perfectly. An inconsistency in aesthetic is also apparent. Tracks based on Popcorn and Axel F are built around these large environments with clear care and attention being put into their looks. However, tracks from We Are The Champions, Dinga Danga Dong, just float in an extremely bland skybox with assets being randomly inserted for the sake of filling up blank space. It all feels cluttered though, it's just unappealing to look at.
What was once an experimental series to learn the editing style of review-like videos. You know, over the last 2 years we've looked at a fair small amount of games. We took on classic games beloved by many, others not so much, and even some potentially lost to time. The first title we looked at was Super Mario 64 a long time ago. Super Mario 64 was a revolutionary game, being the first major showcase of 3D graphics on a home console. Once the player makes their way to Peach's castle, they'll be greeted with the immersive plot of this game. Pretty deep in it, mush. In all fairness, this building is pretty much empty outside of the multitude of paintings. The real meat of the game takes place within all these pictures. Of course, obtaining your goal isn't always that easy. Speaking of enemies, I swear that Owl is rigged. Whenever you take control of the fella, your control of his movement has never felt consistent to me. Getting off seems to always fling me in a different direction too. Maybe he just has a thing against internet phenomenon.
Say the words 3 times and he appears.
Despite being made to terrify children, kids love this thing. It became marketable, it got everything, it got an actual children's show, plush toys, mugs, shoulder bags, a top of the charts Christmas single, a theme park that failed after 3 months, and a video game. Of all things to release it on, it came on the Commodore Amiga, a home computer from the times of the NES. It survived well into the 90s and became a great home for numerous games exclusive to the platform, and that home was often broke into. Cracked games were huge on the platform, and many of the groups often showed off impressive introduction sequences called cracktros. Cracktros are genuinely great, showcasing and holding impressive visuals and music. And then there's this. Alright, now we're back here, there's not really a lot of stuff to do inside the Blobby house, so instinctively I just decided to leave and... Okay, the game's actually started and I'm genuinely confused. I'm given a single screen room that gains colour as I walk over the terrain. You know what, actually, this entire setting looks kind of familiar. Oh yeah, it's that Trolls game! I loved that one. So yeah, this entire game is a port kind of a Super Nintendo game by the same company. Quite frankly, I'm amazed by what this port managed to achieve. Not necessarily getting a Super Nintendo game onto a Commodore, more so the fact that Millennium Interactive made Mr. Blobby seem less terrifying than something else. Considering the system it's on, it plays fine, looks fine, it's all just fine, but it's also just weird. And boring, incredibly boring. Overall, I'd say it's a good thing that Mr. Blobby has a game, but I think his legacy deserves better. Now we're talking! Whoa, it's Wii Music! I played so much of this game, that I think. I mean, looking back, I don't know if I was playing anything. I don't think Nintendo did either. Whenever I hear of Wii Music, it's usually got some negative connotations, and that one E3 clip is shown. Let's just select my Mii and join in, and we're introduced to my G Sebastian Shoot. I didn't realise it was that easy. I'm having such a good time playing all these instruments, it's great. We're encouraged to play in a few ways, like swing, adding notes, and flat out bad. Oh, that's my jam. Oh my. Oh my. What is happening? This is actually amazing. These extra jam sessions teach us about style, the actual use for different layers of instruments, a lot in depth. I mean, we're still swinging a Wii remote at the end of the day, but mate, I've just evolved spiritually. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that I, the creator of Lucina is Kill and the mind of Diddy Kong, have acquired a copy of Electroplankton. Alright, call me tits. So I know what you're thinking. What the hell is an Electroplankton? Electroplankton is an interactive music game for the Nintendo DS. It created SimTunes. What more do you need to know?
SimTunes is the only creativity software that allows kids to make their own musical pictures.
Keep telling yourself that. Oi! You making a green screen video using Hannonbo? Let me take a look.
Anything spike, you kill sniper, kills faster, all without dying.
Wow, this is just awful. I feel really bad for Hannonbo. In Brawl, it's just that bad tree stage. In Ultimate, it's just a green screen meme stage.
Catch me later, I'll buy you a beer.
Next up is... it's the Smash Bros stage! Yo, this game's mad. Okay, so Rec is just broken for me. You're supposed to record your voice into the fish thing and it plays them back, but that doesn't exactly work for me. Just because a game is a platform fighter, it doesn't make it a Smash clone. I mean, some are more like Smash than others, but that doesn't inherently make them bad. Honestly, I'd play Slap City over Melee any day. Ah, that hurt me doing it again. Hey, look, I'm sorry, I've got to run again. Last time this happened, the Melee Manda nearly had me on a cross. Oh, I've got to run. I won't be gone for another 2 months, I promise.
Look, man, this isn't gonna work out. Can we play something else?
Alright. Can always try this.
Well, it can't be worse than Rec.
Trying to get a game like this on the Nintendo DS is really quite ambitious. You might argue if Kirby can be on the DS, any game like this can. But Kirby isn't the following: A, a fighter, and B, 3D. Marvel tries and fails at both. So you use the A button to jump. Yeah, that was my reaction too. Now when it comes to the actual controls, say it with me.
It's exactly like Smash Brothers!
Everything's just stiff.
but inconsistently stiff. Oddly, this was really noticeable in an offline match, but while playing a ranked match against my region with a friend, this wasn't as bad. That doesn't make the game good though, does it? There was also just broken hitboxes that felt impossible to get out of. The game has that 2017 generic look to it that's just kind of boring.
Fortnite. Well, that's it. All the bad Smash clones have been played, and your sins are no more.
But that last one was pretty good. Like,
no, it wasn't.
yeah, no, I liked it. That was a good game.
But it's not Smash, is it?
Yeah, it's got like Bomberman in it, so like.
Well, if Bomberman was any good, he'd be in Smash.
He's an assist trophy, to be fair.
The devil's an assist trophy.
Fair enough.
Three, 2, 1, go!
You think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
So, in summary, I think it's a neat concept, but the layout of the stage and Smash's controls just don't make it work. And the on-screen space, it throws it all off, honestly. Where's the ghost? The fruit? Who's this geezer? To get over this, I thought, hey, let's look at the original title to really explain the context behind the stage's design. But that was a pain. Firstly, Pac-Man had a cartoon in 1982. Who knew? Hanna-Barbera made it, you know, the Flintstones people. There was a port to the Nintendo Famicom, but you can certainly tell creative liberties had to be taken. Proportions are just completely off, and it's honestly kinda sad to see how much they had to downgrade the title. It never ended up releasing overseas until a port on the Wii U Virtual Console decades later of all places, to which it was released to a critical okay from most reviewers. There was also a port for the TurboGrafx 16, which was more in tone with the original arcade release, but even then, that's kind of obscure, and trust me, it gets madder. Commodore 64, Amiga computers, it was on the Atari Lynx of all systems. I'm sure that saved Atari from certain doom. It had an LCD game. Not gonna lie though, he looks like he's having a great time. I'd love to get in with him.
Join me, Bloops, and I will make your face the greatest in Korodai, or else you will die.
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. Dear Festy Film student, a Koopalings of I have sent you a gift, permanent warranty if it breaks. I dare you to play it if you can. Right, that checks out, but I thought I sent me a baking oven. During the late 20th century, Nintendo and Sega were having a bit of an argument over whose system was more popular among 10-year-olds. Sure, Sega had Sonic, who was fast, had a bit of an attitude, and 3 core games all on one system. But Nintendo had Reznor. I decided to head to Goronu first because it sounded like the funniest option. And look! There's Link! There he is! There's enemies spawning everywhere. Faces of Evil is a 2D platforming game, much like Zelda 2, although it's so incredibly slow and the movement as a whole is just a drag. And get this right, get this. You have to press the up button to jump. Alright, that's okay, we'll just cross again. At least it gives us an opportunity to farm rubies, because enemies literally don't stop spawning around here. Oh my god, where are they all coming from?
Ha! We got you there, mate!
There's also a malnourished Pokemon that is basically impossible to avoid, and likewise impossible to hit! Why? Okay, right, so we've got these ghoulie geezers flying around, Guonam is here for some reason, and there's a very apparent lack of literally anything. Why is the game bugged? Am I just not allowed to comprehend my position in basic 2D space? There's still consistent collision everywhere, so if the texture's just not loaded in, like, what am I meant to do?
Lamp oil.
So after another trek back to Morshu's Bazaar, I picked up some lamp oil. Then I head back to the cave to use the lamp oil. And how do I? Look, I've clearly got it in my inventory. What do I have to do to use it? At this point, I've just completely given up. I've experienced like 3 screens in the game and I've gotten nowhere. I have absolutely no concerns about this restarting all of my process without saving. I'm going back to the menu and I am getting help.
Hey!
Anyway, hang on, let me kill this guy before I talk to the NPC down there. By the way, I probably should have mentioned earlier, but if you stand still for a couple of seconds, you'll automatically shield against projectiles. What? I say it was a good concept, I didn't say I had good implementation. Holy Christ, what the hell is that thing? They're indestructible, but you need to get past them so you can progress. They just clink like stone or snow, I guess, when you hit them. Wait a minute. I forgot to grind rubies for Morshu. Alright, I've got bombs from Morshu now. Pathetic.
Biggest crab I ever caught.
Well, I caught it, actually.
It's a goma. You're pretty good. Here.
Yeah, mate. Cheers. No worries, mate.
Off I go again. With fire in hand, I decided to see if it could be put back to use in Nortinka, and with the long-range sword in hand, I carved the boomerang wolf an epitaph. The con artist downstairs will be next. Using the knowledge that some items can kill enemies, I doused the flames on the homunculus which cleared the path up the mountain. On the way up, Link kept taking damage from nothing. It turns out these tiny icicle droplets in the background can kill you. On that note, a new enemy is introduced and their only purpose is to bait you down to fight them, because once you're down there, you're stuck. The door is blocked off by a background element. You betrayed me. And there is literally no way out of this pit. You're supposed to platform across the higher path, but why would you place enemies to defeat down here if you're only meant to die to them? Was a bottomless pit not adequate enough? Luckily there's a constant stream of rubble coming from the ceiling, so if you miss a single jump, just throw your head into that. The rubble's flow will end, and so too does your life. Fair play to it. If anything, it does a great job at highlighting what Zelda is through its very own Triforce of drivel. The absurd amounts of power you need to survive the enemy onslaught on the bridge. The wisdom of navigating a directionless world just to get the lamp to light up one room of a cave. The courage to go on. At the top of the tower is the first boss Garonu, and God let me tell you about the bosses in this game. There's 5 in total which are essential to completing the game. This doesn't include Ganon, but I'll get to that. Some bosses are pretty easy to defeat, just keep hitting them, hope you get lucky with projectile spam, and you'll soon overcome them.
You can't kill me. No. No. No.
What? I'd say 3 of the 5 bosses fall into this category, and there's no gimmicks to them. It's seriously just as easy as keep hitting them.
Simples.
Then there's category 2. I'm not going to elaborate on that. The final room before the boss is a vertical climb against the weakest enemies in the game, building suspense to a beautiful climax. Everything about the moment is just too perfect to even put words to, so I figured it's only right if I show you this entire finale in its rawest, purest natural form. Poetic, isn't it? What a way to end this alluring story with the ironic metaphor of locking Ganon within a book himself. In fact, it's not the only thing that's even locked at the end of this story, because I soft-locked the game on the same frame I killed Ganon. This game is abhorrent. Link the Faces of Evil is genuinely one of the worst games I've ever played. It's got an amazing art style and brilliant music, but the programming makes this entire experience fall apart. I don't know what words to describe it with. I like sad. Let's go with sad. Hey, look at that, Nintendo predicted the rapture. Okay, so brace yourself for this. Like, honestly, prepare yourself for this. I'm sure the Bible warned us of that. Samari is an actually genuinely playable, built from scratch, fully original NES title, with an asterisk on all 3 of those. It's quite an infamous title, with the only credit to its name being the Somari team, and while it seems impossible to determine exactly where the game comes from, most of the original cartridges appear to be made for the Famicom, giving a clear indication towards Asia, with Western fans later making repo cartridges for the NES. Somari is notoriously associated with the Dendy system in particular, which was a semi-official hardware clone of the Nintendo Famicom produced in Taiwan for the Russian market, which helps narrow down the origins of the title. Predictably, the first stage is Green Hill Zone. If Sonic Forces did it, why wouldn't you? And immediately we were off before we can even touch the floor, never mind. The game actually looks pretty decent. Badniks are faithfully redrawn with the NES's limitations, and I commend the stages likewise being originally redrawn based on the 16-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog, rather than being sprite rips from the 8-bit Master System and Game Gear companion titles. After enough of that constant grind though, I did manage to make it to the first boss, which who would have thought is Dr. Robotnik and a wrecking ball. If Sonic Forces did it, why wouldn't you? As is everything else, it's a bit awkward to platform around due to the controls, but whenever you get hit, your rings will ricochet back to you because of an off-screen capsule, so hey, don't fret too much, I'm sure Samari will be okay. What wasn't as effective is the music. It suffered quite a bit from the backport. The soundtrack I've been banging to while playing this game has come from the official 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is an experience in its own right, separate from the original and Samari, which instead opted to translate the Mega Drive soundtrack for the Nintendo sound chip, which came out... ear-curdling? It's not great, but it's ambitious. Blotched together, but just about works. It's over now though, so if you'll excuse me, I'm going to boil it beyond redemption so it gets a faint better off than my game lore. Wait, a game of word association. I'll start. The Bible. Jesus is pretty big in the Bible. He rode a mule around. Mules, donkeys, they're kind of the same thing. Donkeys, Donkey Kong! Donkey Kong goes back to prophecies, then that goes back to the Bible, see, it all comes full circle. Look, I like Donkey Kong as much as most of the world. A bit. Alright, enough exposition. What even is this Donkey Kong 3, I hear you ask? Unlike the previous entries in the expansive universe, Jumpman is entirely absent, and Junior got the boot too. Instead, you take control of one Stanley in an almost shooter-like style of gameplay. He can run left and right, jump up and down a few platforms, and shoot. That's basically it. Hey, Donkey Kong 3, right?
You mean Donkey Kong Junior Maths?
No. This here is Alex Kidd in Miracle World, the first game to star one Alex Kidd, whose popularity peaked in 1986. Coincidentally, that's also the game's copyright date. The whole challenge is to safely get down to each progressive platform, but you've already done that by the time you've seen what the platform is. No other level in the game even features a downward on foot climb, so I'm just really confused as to why they introduced a platformer on a level that actively discourages jumping with tight spaces and going in the exact opposite direction. Jumping propels you. So what can the kid do? Well, there's a jump button and a one-frame punch, calm down Bruce Lee, combined with the game's lust for low ceilings and every other stage being structured like a hoarder's home and one-hit deaths. This level design's kinda crap. Make it to the end though and we get to see the game's first boss. Stationary. It's rock, paper, scissors with an AI, it's just luck on whether you win or not. What? Who lost? Clearly I won right, I have rock and that typically beats scissors in the Clark rule set, but the text says I lose. But maybe that was the boss talking since he explained the rules, but then why would the I lose text be over Alex's name, and how come? Whoa. That's rude. Alright, time for the final castle. I'm expecting this one to be full of tricks and japes, so I better be careful. Damn it. Rather than having a seamless scroll, each room of the castle is basically its own little arena full of enemies and puzzles. Some have fun and unique set pieces, like actual medieval traps, and others are just There seemed to be a bunch of alternative routes too, but they all led to dead ends. One room just had some kid in a prison cell who never appears again. What are you trying to get at here, Sega? What? There's another level? Right, so to finish the game you need to swim down to find some sort of chamber vault thing. From said vault, you have to jump down on these tiles in a very specific order to complete the game, and if you mess up, death will spawn, obviously. There's not a single hint to the order you have to hit these tiles, so I have no shame in doing this. I use save states. It can be hard to really appreciate something like Mario Paint to its full potential. Yeah, it looks great, has an overwhelming amount of charm and a sedative soundtrack, but it has so much value beyond that too. Keep in mind, right, and that is a threat, the game released in 1992. Holy shit. Even if digital painting wasn't totally unheard of, at-home animation certainly was, and the ability to quickly write, play back, edit, and generally produce music like this was something of a luxury. Computer mice are perfectly fine for drawing, but they can lead to a diagnosis of mild cramp over longer periods of time. Combine this with a trackball and finite movements to draw tiny details and you'll be developing arthritis at an early age. You can animate things yourself. It may be limited to a few frames, but this is legitimate animation software on a home console in 1992, and that's incredible. Borderline anything is possible to create, and get as graphic as you want. Twitter doesn't exist yet, go wild. The dead are rising from the soil. Alcohol-infused socialites are wrecking the streets under the influence of a full moon. Black fabric production's at an all-time high, and everyone's in spikes with razor blades. And I'd rather just sit here playing Nintendo games. Ayo, boom, watch this. You take horror, you take video games, smoosh them together, and congratulations, you've just upped the price on dry cleaning for as long as one of these stay on the top of the charts. You know I'm an adult, right? I don't need my mommy's permission to piss myself. The games might look more primitive than the controller you play them on. Well, this is really just a stick and stone with black spray paint over it. But there were still tens of quality titles for it. Tens! It just so happens, like every system from every generation, there was so much shoddy shovelware released on Atari system. Only then there was absolutely no quality control and minimal media coverage to help differentiate the good from the bad.
Alright everybody, welcome to the Math Gun MP. Alright, that's right, -5. He's got 9, no, he's not got 9. He's always got a 0, he's got a 0. Here he's got, it's right, it's coming in.
And people pay to go to private school. Atari felt a need to dump their excess unsold copies of their games, complete with cartridge box and manual, into a landfill. Yeah, we've gone bust. Rather than liquidate our assets and recoup what we can, let's just put more expenses into a Gucci gravestone. So, initial impressions? It's E.T. When the game actually starts, though, I'd best describe its art style as animated cinder blocks. But E.T.'s sprite has a serious case of lockjaw in this game. You would not recognise this man in a police lineup. If you refer to the game's manual, there's actually an explanation as to what all these wingdings do on the top of the screen. Basically, I'm still lost. Functionally, you need to find 3 pieces of a phone so E.T. can call home. Hello and welcome to the frat house. You know, the life of a university student can get pretty wild, and with all the time I put into my work. Here I have what I like to refer to as brown foods, between scrumptious desserts, sensacious cereals, carbohydrate cravings, and carcinogenic cancer-causing body killers. Every desirable substance can be found here not only in quantity, but volume. Firstly, we need to get into preparation, so let's check off the list one item at a time. Before anything, preheat the oven to 210 degrees Celsius, simple enough. After that, you should prepare adequate plating. You can usually get away with one standard meal plate per person, and a side plate for any optional side dishes. Personally, I recommend the additional garlic bread for the true youth experience. It's not a party without a wretched odour emerging from the mouth in the morning. Oh, and cutlery helps too, throw that into the mix. The fourth and final step is to open up your bag of produce and slather the tray with chicken dippers. As long as you hit double digits, you've got an appetizer on your hands. Now, Bird's Eye's official walkthrough suggests I cremate the dippers for at least 15 minutes, but I'm opposed to the metric system, so instead I judge my dippers on how long it takes to listen to the Beatles' Abbey Road medley. And look at that, our first guest is here. To conclude this riveting process, add any optional additional condiments and I'll consider this a pretty successful meal. But don't get too ahead of yourself. Check each dipper individually before processing it through your body. Like, this one's fine, and this one's fine, but this one... too much batter's come off of it already. Dippers like this one get a space in my own personal little vault. If this tutorial helped you, good! Bon appetit! Anyway, Faith is redundant now because Epic Dumps the Bear 2 is out. EDB2, as the streets call it, is an action platformer game of 6 to 8 worlds, greatly inspired by those of the 90s as said by the game's official website itself. So Bubsy. This pulls through to the gameplay too. It looks so goofy, like a digital evolution of vintage puppet shows and arguably rubbish. But that doesn't translate over to the gameplay at all, which stays sharper than a bear's claw. But it does look very repetitive when you're bear hunting as a spectator sport. But it's a single player game, so why would you? But I should be getting somewhere. Oh no, that's perfect. Alright, Donkey Kong, classic arcade game. I wish you played as the monkey instead. Now this is the quintessential candidate for a parade balloon. I can't blame the video game crash for taking place a year later. Once you've hit a high with Junior, all that follows up is drivel in comparison. You see these? Landfill fodder. 3 years later and Super Mario Bros looks like the cola borehole in comparison. As far as the genre goes, Junior is real primitive, but that's its charm. It brings you back to an ape-filled ancestry. If only I knew what it was like to own this game a year ago. There was an Old Testament this whole time!
In retrospect, I was a part of the problem. A brief life for one. Eesh, how society of me. So I've decided to kick back, get cozy, and rot away piece by piece. I'll start the liver because, you know, it has live right there in the title. Bon appetit!
Hey, you! That's dangerous for you, that is. Give it here. Hey! Wait! Can't you read the can? I'm Gilly Thatcher!
Neat. Well, my brain is next on the list, so feel free to share a can.
Anyway, it's like f***ing summer. What are you got a fire on for? And what is this preschool art project? And what are you wearing that for? Take it off. You look like a dried tampon. Nah, you cheeky cockroach nipple. Anyway, you see that building over there?
I don't know, I've had a vendetta against looking at things since I saw you. Can you describe it to me?
I used to be big into real estate. I built those apartments over there. I built loads of them with bare hands. Use the other for jerking. I was the best in the business until this bastard came along. You'd work fine as a Muppet though.
So, Billy Hatcher, where do I begin?
You know, I usually have a computer to research these things on. Can I borrow your phone?
Whoops.
There's not really much of a story behind this game. Following Sega's departure from the hardware business in 2001, due to almost a decade of fledgling sales, Yuji Naka, the director of Sonic the Hedgehog, just kinda wanted to create Billy Hatcher, and he chose to put it on the GameCube because it seemed like the best fit for the target audience.
You know why this is on GameCube, lad? It's because he knew it was a crap game. And the only way this would get over with any kind of fans is if they were teeny tiny babies with brainstems shorter than their fingernails. So their little minds wouldn't get distracted with pretty little colours, but that would mess up the entire sales operation of this game. If the reviews ever got away from corporate minds, it would ruin it. But that already exists on PlayStation and Xbox, like.
Oh wow, nice, an FMV demonstrating chickens in their natural haven, the beach. I am sure they like it there very much, really, but I digress. A gang of crows drench the air to the point of mistaking it for an industrial revolution, and then we fade to black. Give the screen a good prod though, and we're now brought to the home of Billy Hatcher through the use of various jarring fades with pace-breaking angle changes, where he's discovered to be caught in a flurry before another fade to black. This monumental demonstration of the capabilities of fictitious cinema. Oh, Jesus Christ. Billy's mates want to give him a fatal right hook to the jaw for being late. Then the measly little chickens lead the crows here in their escape. Billy respects nature, so he belts one out of the stadium because he's just so extra. God. and then the game starts.
What?
We are given exposition after our first 7 steps from spawn, but why tease us with free will just to cook us?
That suits him and all, because it shows exactly what he is for not responding to me emails. Oi, you know I emailed this kid to try and fight me, but he's not responding to me emails. You know why? Because he's a legendary chicken.
I was just aimlessly wandering about in one mission and accidentally demolished an entire wave of enemies that just spawned off screen, each with a health bar, each depleted in a single hit. It also didn't take long to come to terms with the fact that I can perform an egg dunk.
Egg drunk?
With our hostage recovered, the skies part as patriotism to rooster kind is once again free to dictate the lower species society.
Gilly, the elder chicken isn't even a chicken.
Well, at least it ain't a swallow.
Alas, through all the hurt and pain, we've completed the first level, and Hatcher is well proud of my accomplishments.
Good morning!
What do you mean, good morning, you prick? It was like, and for all intents and purposes, still is in my opinion, the dead of night like 2 seconds ago. The sky was literally a sack of coal and some rooster put some artificial colouring in there. If you're not standing next to an annoying little gorm at a suitable bus stop hours, it's not morning, is it?
So you see, Doc.
Hey, don't call me that. I'm not qualified. I'll get sued, and that's Mr. to you.
Yeah, safe, sir. But you see, I'm just doing the same thing over and over, as if I'm supposed to expect a different result, and I'm supposed to be the one in control?
Mate, if it makes you feel any better, there's about to be a new gameplay mechanic development in that child game thing you're testing or whatever.
Oh, goody goody, the game has stuff now! Some light platforming later, I run into a portal of mildly evil appearance, so naturally, as Billy Hatcher, I'm drawn directly into it.
Mate, what was that? Oh my days, is no one going to explain that to me? He's just gone to, like, what is it? Minecraft, the Nether Realm, isn't it? He's just gone to the Nether Realm and no one's going to explain that to me! To me! You know what though, let's be honest. If I could do that, I'd go down shops. I'm running low.
You know, this experience would double up as a great clicker game, glue in some obnoxious overlays, have convoluted unlockable yet trivial power-ups, smash the screen, that one's just a precautionary measure, close the lid, throw the GameCube into a lake.
Were we still talking about the omelette kid?
So would you believe me when I say the next level is based on terrorism? One of Billy's mandem from the intro finally make an appearance decked out in their own chicken outfit. This doesn't fit the narrative. And you're on a time limit to complete a bog standard level and save her. I'm working on it, I swear. Time limit aside, this is a very normal level. Time limit included, this is a very normal level.
See, technically you don't even need to beat every level. As long as you beat the boss of the last one, the next one opens. But I just had to clear the board for my own sense of pride, so I finished Pirate Island.
To be honest, the last level was alright.
And I'll complete this new mission, but after that I am rushing straight to the end goal. Trying to 100% this game is nothing more than an endurance test. At least give me something worthwhile like a heart attack.
And by the way, if you do so happen to let the bomb go off, you know what happens? Hey guys, welcome to my amazing reaction video of what happens when the bomb goes off in Billy Hatching a giant egg. Oh, that's mad, guys. Okay, so you're sent back to the last checkpoint, about half a minute away, with a fuse that lasts longer than chronic diarrhea. There's a phenomenal boss where, rather than constantly fighting on a field, only sometimes being vulnerable, you have to weasel it out of a skeleton mech, giving realism and depth to the stakes of this bout. Please keep in mind my contextual use of the word phenomenal and how long it took to get to this moment.
Okay, so Frosty Town over here is insulting me intelligence by thinking I need to use a cock ring to clear a gap as large as the circumference of me own.
What are you playing at? You can't just take the controller off me and have a go. Now I've got to put your links in the description.
Mate, what am I playing at? The same thing you've been playing at this whole time since you've come into me territory. I want to smoke him too. I like me chicken, medium rare, undercook that thing.
Wouldn't that give you salmonella?
Nah. I like to feel me meals.
Billy's expanded moveset becomes a requirement? That's neat.
Mate, I know this is like a bad time, but do you smoke?
And so after that, the center of the world appears. FYI, not only is it easier to waddle around each floor with just Billy, but he can also jump through half of the obstacles, make it up to the top, and guess what meets you? Bingo. God finally comes back to warn you that this boss, right here, this guy is going to be harder than any boss you've faced before.
I'll be the judge of that.
The entire battle is a refight of the first 5 bosses, but now they're purple! Also, the final boss gets tired after floating idle for about 10 seconds, so it sinks to the ground.
And this is what makes it vulnerable. Son of a bitch!
One last level, it's gotta be, opens up to an incline just steep enough for Billy to slip on, literally kicking you further down once you've already been beaten, because this game is just lovely. Later on, there's a chicken that basically calls you a pussy if you don't have 25 emblems under your portfolio. He's a dickhead.
Hey, it's me, Gilly. Now, I feel bad, yeah, so I finished the other levels just so I'm not liable. It continues to bewilder me how many new ideas they can keep cramming into this game after skipping half of it. And how rubbish they continue to be. Like, mate, you're playing with a snowball, act your age. All the good levels with the fun movement came after the bosses. But how come the start of every world goes back to being crap? I know the piss always comes before the but come on, it's a video game. Swear down, every level either drags long enough for a rat to fossilise or can be completed in the time it takes for a firework to go down, or this Don here next to me to wake up. Yeah, lad, you're nearly done.
How did it take me longer on the second attempt?
And you thought I had the record for quickest pull-out?
Freeming Crow's main attack is like a tennis ball. Billy can catch its up, toss it back at the Crow, steal his heart, and then kill him. It's a classic, some may say overused example of defeating the enemy with their own attack in a final boss that's a bit of a challenge, but statistically easier than the last to give the player the sense of harnessing the power they've garnered thus far. Why the piss does every boss in this game check off the entire trope bingo card?
Who cares? I did it! I beat Billy Hatcher!
Mate, calm down. It's not exactly Ebola, is it?
Now, to beat a landlord, you've got to come down to their level, so I've started to dabble in Satanism. I don't have a spellbook on hand, but I've got Billy Hatcher, that's basically hell, so it'll probably do. Good morning. Oh. Being such simple titles, it was an easy way to expand the console's catalogue with minimal effort. If anything, they were worth the ports for the legacy alone. However, 2 months after Dirt 3 was released, that's its street name, you wouldn't get it, an NES exclusive 4th game came out starring Donkey Kong Jr. once again, and it was about fucking maths. Oh, sorry, I'm just playing the new Donkey Kong game. Then comes the gameplay and, well, someone should check its pulse to see if it's still active. A Versus exclusive game with nobody to play it with. Since 2021, I've been playing through the NES Donkey Kong backlog looking for answers. I refuse to believe his presence as a global figure is based on a few fine, very fine, but content minimal video games of 3 or 4 levels each. What was his agenda? This game is really fun! For millennials! I wish I had the time to sink into some kind of 200-hour novel of an adventure, but I'm not a kid with that time anymore. I can't spend my days committed to exploring a fantasy island or put in weeks of learning the intricacies of a competitive fighter, and that feels miserable. Putting a solid playthrough of a game like Donkey Kong into my routine, it keeps me sane and in touch with who I am deep down. And it only took me 3 years to get through 4 of them. Call me a connoisseur because I like to let the taste linger for a while, savour that flavour, and now court is in session because I've come to the following verdicts. I've compared Donkey Kong 3 to higher beings in the past, but what I really meant was its price.
Yeah, now you're saying, oh Christ too, aren't you? As a game, it's very solid with responsive controls, but it's hard to really get into. I appreciate its approach to uniqueness as a shooter bound to layered platforms rather than totally free screen-wide movement. It necessitates strategy, but as a casual arcade shooter fan, I find this restriction tiring, and trust me, I'd know this is what a casual arcade shooter fan looks like. I applaud the boldness to change genre after the great success that was Donkey Kong Jr. This is a quintessential capsule of what an arcade platformer should be. Single screen levels, stiff yet natural controls, varied level gimmicks and themes. This one is pure bliss. However, its clown cousin Donkey Kong Jr. math, well, when's the last time a circus was touring in your town, huh? It promotes itself as an educational game, but does nothing to educate you. Single player is purely based on knowing the answer to an equation and putting it in. The game does nothing to teach you how to solve it. The answer is half. And multiplayer is admittedly incredibly fun, but at best it keeps your brain active enough to be engaged in barbarian farmer cow selling maths. Good luck finding someone to play this with in the 21st century. Maybe the game was made to teach chimps entry level maths. Did they take the box art too literally? Then who the hell is Clue Land for? Hospital patients with kidney stones. That's my only answer. And as for the original Donkey Kong, it's the therapist I've always wanted. Not gonna lie, I've been into a bit of a kidney stone phase lately. I was alerted to the fandom by this game called Clue Land, and to be fair, it has been a hoot. The player controls Bubbles' arms. The meat bag itself continuously moves forward, but holding out left or right lets you latch onto a peg and spin. Hitchhiking at its finest. By the way, did you notice the diamonds are actually rupees from Zelda, and Bubbles makes the Super Mario Bros. Jump sound effects when bouncing off walls?
Well, obviously.
Oh, shut up! Ugh. It's just a phase, I swear. I mean, I thought it was trendy. I was walking down the streets the other day, and some Batman gangsters looked at me and thought, ah, fam, you're like bare sick in it. And I was like, yeah, I know. It seems like an obligation for the legally sick to talk about Dr. Mario. Wait, this isn't an ankle tracker? Like, sure, it's good, innit? But is this really what you want to be doing when you're sick? I miss my family. It's genuinely exhausting. To a man who isn't a disease habitat, each level adds a bit of challenge on a steady, rewarding incline. To a man whose sweat rivals the volume of the Niagara Falls after the exhaust of going... for the past 5 days. Do you really think I care if red and yellow don't match? You know what sucks most though? Nothing is even satisfying. You could pull off a crazy combo, or in my case, 2, but you know how I'd react? Dr. Mario is a fine game on its own, but its whole flu peripheral thing, it's just a gimmick that worsens the experience. Now granted, shame on me for taking the title of Doctor so literally. All I'm saying is there's better games to play when you're ill. Like Russian roulette. So, line scale. What are your thoughts on books?
They make terrible video games.
See, I prefer you disagree with me so my opinion doesn't align with toilet bread bacteria. But that's a start getting to know each other. You can read!
I don't know how when I learnt from this thing with something foul inside of it. I'm talking reverse exorcism type beat.
What does that imply?
It implies that your ancestors were happier at a time without touch generations.
You know, my family is a product of healthy, age-appropriate outsourcing with only as much physicality as needed within the same generation.
You really don't get it, do you? They're not even games, they're just...
Ebooks, literary bliss, has never been more accessible. Before computers could digitize letters, if I wanted novels in mass, the best I could do is sit in the bread aisle and compare nutritional facts. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No winds that blew was bitterer than he. Time is a flat circle. But there's greater value in the cultural exchange of literacy works. Why is Europe forbidden from reading The Time Machine? If I had a time machine, I'd teach Victorians how to format a PDF correctly.
I don't get why it matters though. Who looked at a book and thought, you know what I need? 100 of these. On hand, right now, barely readable on an illuminated 240p pizza box from Mice.
It'd be a good way to pass time on a train ride or after a spelunking accident.
Just carry one book. Unless you're stuck in Milton Keynes, there's no way you're getting through to a second one of these before you're back in civilization.
Not with that attitude. When you're translating media to another format, make it fucking worth it, otherwise you might as well be reading the book through the damn 3DS camera. Yo, they ported GTA to this bitch. There's text scaling options, which I wanted to say make the books more legible, but honestly, not really. Now it's just convoluted that you need to scroll more and the page count isn't consistent, so when Lil Jimmy is on the schoolyard boasting to the mandem about all the action on page 74 of Othello, Little Bimmy is going to be on a misaligned page when he gets home and the fonts don't match. But that's because Bimmy is playing an actual video game instead. And background sounds, a couple of music tracks, more than a handful of ambient sounds, but personally I like to skip the middleman and read books to the real life sounds of a running tap.
This used to be my gaff before I was stuck living in your walls. Got a bit overgrown without me here to take care of things. Your walls are really thin, by the way. If you want to play something other than Donkey Kong, those games do exist.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's kind of just a family business. They offload it onto me and I'm just kind of obliged to. Anyway, this isn't time for talking about me. It's about you! Why we're here again? Said something that's, like, foul.
You'll curse us both. No problem there. Go on, pussy.
Nothing happens!
With a slumber, you have to put it in the DS to awaken it.
Well, don't turn the DS on! But our prodding and laughing aside, I don't need to summarize an ebook, you know what letters taste like. The verdict is, they don't like shared accommodation. Standards are low when spelling words correctly is the bare minimum you'd expect from an ebook, but in place of consideration is a lot of features that justify this story being translated into an ebook. The US Constitution would benefit from a similar modernization. Tapping on words and concepts made for this fictional world provides context of what that thing is. You'd think that's the actual book part's job, but I digress. I wish Manhattan was real. I've got time to kill and Buzzy to slay. No, not in that way. I've got a bit of a homicidal history with that mammal over there, hence all the detergent and extras back here. Whoa, YouTuber and drama, what else is new? Anyway, while I wait for Pest Control to arrive, let me give you a bit of backstory. The year is 2018 and I, sounding like an asthmatic chihuahua, made a couple of jovial jabs towards one Bubsy v Bobcat.
Throughout the entire game I recall being stunned by the genius of the level design twice.
Yeah, don't worry, that's not a bomb siren, that's just how I used to sound. I was quite harsh, I'll admit. It's not the best game, but it ain't like genocide levels of bad. But hey, the masses were prepared this time. Before this was a 21-year gap between Bubsy 3D, a PlayStation 1 exclusive, and Bubsy v Woolly Strike Back, a PlayStation 4 console exclusive. You could only assume his second absence was due to being assassinated for preemptively leaving witness protection. Despite his hiatus, the first two Bubsy games were ported as a pair to computers in 2015. I mean, ported is a strong word, it's actually just a Super Nintendo emulator with a fancy bow. Either way, it hasn't earned the respect of my neck yet. Its bouncy animation and vibrant palettes are an extension of the white noise this whole experience is in practice. That might sound absurd to you as an onlooker, but with the controller in hand too, well, I hope you have a quick draw, friend, otherwise I'll see you on the other side.
Gumball challenge!
The final Grasslands level ends with a boss fight that safely allows you to jump on it even while it's not actually vulnerable, grants you enough air control to keep bouncing between it and its cohort, and the aliens peek out of their saucer and then die in just 2 hits each. In any other game as a fun stage hazard, I wouldn't mind bouncing between a couple of floating space scrotums this way, because it's provided the slightest bit of genuine well-meant fun I've had this entire experience. And that's a horrible problem.
Mate, that's a big crap, that is.
Yes, thank you, I'm awake. Gilly! Bloody hell, knock, man. Also, what was that thing you said about bags on the phone? You're not planning to kill the pest at my door and body bag it here, are you?
That's right, mate. I'm moving in. Mate, what rancid drain pipe did this come from? Do you think it's acceptable to bring this piss piss water into my apartment.
Yo, grow up. Don't have a go at me for bringing a different brand of cider into the kitchen. Which, by the way, I got 4 cans of Thatcher's right here by my side. And you think my allegiance is with the one I leave at the kitchen counter. Which, by the way, was here when I moved in. And I figure, you know, don't tamper with any property left here by the landlord. Which is you. And speaking of, you're not moving in with me.
Oh yeah? By the way, mate, I've left all my stuff in the corridor, alcove, whatever you want to call it. I'll move it at some point when I can be bothered like. But anyway, yeah, back to my old tenant. I hung him because he brought this in. Don't worry about it though, I know this isn't yours. You wouldn't do that to me now, would you? It's not your fault. Anyway, it's probably best if we burn the evidence, you know what I mean? You know, in retrospect, not only was you part of the problem, you are the problem.
Hi there, it's lovely to be with you. My nickname is Bloops, but my real name is Bloops. I'm the founder of the Donkey Kong Free Fan Club, and I'm a victim of being catfished.
Most people looking for love online use platforms like Tinder, Bumble, and Facebook dating.
Facebook have a dating platform?
Yes, that's real. Facebook dating is real.
Ew!
Save that sound for when you get a matchmate.
Why?
I take it you're not into cougars then.
Have you heard about this?
With all due respect, which is none by the way, what can even make a video game a catfish?
Well, it all started back in my last apartment, back in 2023. What the f***? I was playing Donkey Kong Jr., one of my favourite quirks of her, actually. Actually, it was just after our 3rd anniversary. That's when I found out.
Found what?
Well, I found the rewind function.
So?
So she was emulated!
It's very obvious that these games are emulated.
I thought she was a faithful port, to be fair. She wasn't faithful.
So, you were playing the NES versions of these games?
Oh, it is true! It is true!
We've been in contact with the original arcade cabinet, and we've arranged a meeting for you two.
Okay, but, like, was the NES version not available?
Have you looked on eBay lately?
You know what? Fair point.
It's another emulator.
This unit is the arcade equivalent of 2 kids in a trench coat. It seems to have the decals of a legitimate Donkey Kong arcade cabinet, and after all, it's playing the monkey game. Nobody has ever emulated a Nintendo game before. But when this cabinet and an official machine are put back to back for the police lineup, their differences are abundantly clear, and it's very easy to point out who commit the alleged theft. As for the game itself, I'm not a huge fan of the arcade version. Unlike the NES version, the arcade game goes directly from the first level to the final level, skipping out not only 75M, which I personally find the most fun, but also the Pie Factory, infamous for being cut from the NES version. So it's just a shame that it's missing. These stages will appear after the first loop, but if I talked about how many lives I lost and how much extra credit it would cost me to carry on, well, this would become a political statement. Hey, look, I didn't make it much further than 2 levels, but it's more than Billy Mitchell's ever got. You know, legitimately. Video game tutorials are something of an inconsistency, aren't they? Cuphead has perhaps the most infamous tutorial stage of any game, and it's what I would commend as the quintessential example of a tutorial, with the moveset being graffitied onto the backdrop. Try that in Birmingham, I dare you. I love Mario Odyssey's video examples, but wouldn't it be better if they played Family Guy clips the entire game instead? Well, no, it wouldn't. They are like road blockades by stopping you progressing with mandatory dialogue, but I bet they would be toll roads if they could. Fun fact, this is actually the same playthrough I started as a kid. The tutorial's just still going. Actually, because I want to mention this too, the tutorial with Sonic's crew is optional from the main menu, but if you play as Team Rose, it's obligatory. So whoever you are, you need to deal with this at least once to complete the game properly. All teams share the same core levels, but Team Rose is the easy mode, but the third team on the team select, meaning most people will have probably played as one of the other 3 teams first, likely Team Sonic as he's the franchise main character from the game's box art, effectively making this a mid-game tutorial, and my nominee for the dictionary definition of utterly pointless. It's about time we hyphenate that officially.
Wow, you're a quick learner. Excellent.
Wow, you're a sarcastic little asshole. So, Sonic Heroes, as much as I love you outside of the tutorial, I think we need some time apart. Driver. Right, let's try and make this quick. A small concrete room with no ventilation and constant fumes from this car to fill it? It's like I never left Birmingham. I cannot, with any piece of rational logic, figure out what a slalom is. And don't pry at me to check the instructions manual, I did, but the most I learned is that Mentos is actually pronounced Mentos, according to its website, and while the American website is ecstatic to tell the law to confectionery enthusiasts, the UK website is miserably passive-aggressive about this fact, on par for Britain, and honestly, I don't blame it when it's the sponsor for goddamn Driver on Sony's PlayStation console. I don't know why the game won't just let me have this, and that's part of the tutorial's main problem. This freaking time limit is the run killer. I think I just got a degree in vehicular manslaughter. What did I do differently this time that I didn't do a dozen goddames ago? How is the slalom a technique worth mastering? Compare that to, say, a 360. It takes good knowledge of combining speed with the handbrake to pull it off in a compact time span. The game accepts as, like, cool. With those in mind, the slalom feels like I'm trying not to wake up the 9-decade-old woman next door at 5 PM because I don't want to get sued. This is slow and dull. Woohoo Island is an iconic titular island from Nintendo's repertoire. Cool, that's out of the way. I love this island, man. I want to get a timeshare here. It brings back such good memories. My first exposure to the island of woo was at the age of 10, more or less. The baby's first school I attended brought in a Wii bundled with 90s Gang Wars and separately a copy of Wii Sports Resort. Everybody was obsessed with the latter, particularly Island Flyover, and so was I. You may call me a sheep, but I saw myself as the ringleader. Look at them all. Everybody else here is such a casual fan, but me? I was different. I ran a YouTube channel called Mario Gamer 56. Sometime later, my grandparents got me a copy for the MG56 production studio. It was a birthday gift, and a really nice day out when we went to buy it together. I miss you guys. Being able to play this game whenever I wanted, off the clock, I finally indulged in more game modes. Sword fighting was pretty great, but I still spent most of my time flying. I didn't know of Violet Wing's Resort for a long time after getting my 3DS, but I did get Mario Kart 7 another birthday, and here I reunited with Woohoo through the island and mountain loot tracks. I got to live out that dream of driving on the surface level of the surface. Ultimately, these were racetracks, so I couldn't stop whenever I liked to explore particular set pieces all up in our own business, close and personal. Between the 2 tracks and the battle course, the island got pretty close to being fully traversable, but not freely. It was never open, neither to my car nor my heart. Thank you, Atomic Lugia. Thank you for bringing my childhood dream to life. On the 26th of June 2024, One Set Lugia released the Woohoo Island Explorer, a PC experience that lets you select a Mii and freely explore Woohoo Island. This is exactly what I dreamed of as a child, and while it may not be official, it feels so much more genuine than any of the makeshift efforts I've made.
and it feels like a Wii game. And I'm not just saying that because of some kind of overwhelming glee. The options menu parades around features you can enable or disable that masquerade the game as an authentic Nintendo experience. Also, if you're feeling extra frisky, yeah, they got that tan line outfit. There's not many games that have imprinted onto me in the same way as those from my first game console, the PlayStation 2, and its library of micro machines, gadget racers, some incredible licensed platformers, and a few games from the later days on the Wii. For as much as I love what I play now, they'll never quite encapsulate my childhood in the same way. Or so I thought. Hi there, it's lovely to be with you, and welcome to a casual review of the capsule-sized game of Omo Chapon. Playing with the car feels a lot like playing Micro Machines, quite literally. The two games control fairly similarly, with all the satisfaction of rattling along at such a minuscule stature being translated over perfectly. The car is quickly partnered up with the Hopping Bunny, who is quite slow, but I believe he'll someday jump to the moon, clearly inspired by popping toys and NASA's Apollo missions.
Houston, what the hell is this?
The enemies are cleaning robots and color-coded to hazard signs such as wet floor, be careful, and to access the second area, you need to overcome steps, which comes from unlocking the rabbit in the first area, so it's all so natural. And on that note, when you unlock a new character, their controls are shown through the use of a paper manual included with the toy. Everything is just so integrated within the world, it's so diegetic. Playing through this game made me so reminiscent of my childhood collection, between the various genres the game emulates and the sheer charm and charisma protruding throughout the experience. This is a game made from a solid idea and developed with clear passion in mind. If video games are considered art, then I consider this game the whole gallery. Tetris was the champion, the platinum seller, the celebrity everybody wanted a picture with in those last few years of the 20th century. And while it may not have the prestige of the throne today, it is still inarguably the most accessible game ever released even now. Some variation of Tetris has existed on every video game platform since the first Tetramino landed. You're making lines and hope they give you a high score. High score. It's really nice, isn't it? Simple, coherent. How could you ever make a game like Tetris so uncivilized? Hey, do you want to see me devolve? Peep this out. Tetris. With seasoning. The core gameplay can contribute to an entirely new recipe by adding a third dimension, or having you battle against another 100 people who, yeah, get it too. What is the rarest version of Tetris? Like, out of all the official games from the Tetris company, called Tetris, which is the rarest. Also, even if they don't have a major gameplay gimmick, I'm not counting games like Tetris DX. It has to be plain old, no gimmick, no twists, no branded mascots on the box art, pure vanilla. The original version of Tetris was created by one man, Mr. Alexei, for the Electronica 60 computer, a computer that was developed within, exclusively for, and locked to the USA, as I'll call it. This version was used as a reference for a newer internationally viable version on IBM PCs and ported from PC-DOS to the likes of MS-DOS, Commodore Amiga, Atari ST, Apple and macOS, and basically every first-generation personal computer had this version, as well as the Tetris Gold compilation for Windows the 3rd. So that was the first release of Tetris, but then another company came along known as Rowan Software that developed several other versions for several home computers popular at the time, particularly outside of America, and particularly within the United Kingdom. Spoiler alert, none of these versions are actually the rarest version, but they did not survive the survival of the fittest. These were all published by Microsoft, not Microsoft, and while they're all different in their own special ways, they're generally grouped as one when it comes to the sales data. They are also different in the way they don't give direct answers. The most straightforward statistic I could find was a French book stating tens of thousands were sold in the first few months, and then the author goes on to analyse the Mace Quee Cowboys without any other word of Mirosoft's impact. For the sake of stats, this version sold 40 million copies. It's not rare. I found a copy stuck to my shoe while I was walking here. Tengen Tetris does continue to legally exist in arcade form though. They're actually surprisingly common.
Get a load of this skull.
Tetris on smartphones, as least as of 2024, completely automates the game and therefore dismantles the fundamental structure that is Tetris. It could maybe be justified if the game had a wacky subtitle like Tetris Quick Drop or Tetris Dash, something that works on mobile, but nah, it masquerades as something comparable to the original Tetris, while it simply isn't. This is Tetris. For the CDI, a console that supposedly sold a little over 1 million units, but I'm doubtful about that since everybody only knows it for YouTube poops. There may be no exact sales data, especially for the software, but this console didn't sell, so I can only assume it's a rare version, being one of the few acclaimed games on the system. But that's about as impressive as meeting another human with skin. It's good that you have it, you really can't screw this up, but you know, everybody else has it too, so it's not quite as impressive as you'd think. Fittingly for the CDI, this version of Tetris is displayed on a tombstone against quite an array of elaborate backgrounds: a tranquil river, a mountainous view, the set of Breaking Bad, the set of this video, white. How luxurious is a winter's day in hell to you? Now, unless I'm carving a game of tic-tac-toe into that tree, the woodland seems to give that big oak a lot more prestige than the, at the time, 50 million seller that is Tetris. And that is the rarest version of Tetris, as far as I can tell. At least the second rarest, depends on the Wonderswan. So, yeah, to avoid ending on a downer, here's Nugget Tetris! Released from McDonald's promotion exclusively to China, there's a confirmed 500,000 produced, and no more shall come to be. Goodbye! Hi there, it's lovely to be with you. You meet Donkey Kong 1. Oh hey, it's the DK3! DK3, this is DK1, and, you? Did Donkey Kong 2 not get the invite? Oh, hi Donkey Kong Jr. What are you doing here? Oh, that's Donkey Kong 2's invite. It's Donkey Kong 1 on the Game & Watch. It released about a year after the original arcade version, and that was followed a year later by Donkey Kong Jr. in new widescreen mode. Followed up a year later by Donkey Kong Jr. in old cabinet mode, I guess. A distinctly original game from the first Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch. But very confusing. But even more confusing, this was followed up by a fourth game. Donkey Kong 2. This game features two screens, a dual screen, much like the DS, which this is based upon. And I really, really like it. You see in the first, bringing back, in the first Donkey Kong Game & Watch game, the two screens were basically just made to have more space. Just make it a mobile game at that point. But this, on the other hand, this is good because the bottom screen is loosely based on the third level of the original Donkey Kong Jr. and the top screen is based on the final level, a Donkey Kong Jr. Actually, if you put Donkey Kong 2 with the other two Donkey Kong Jr. Game & Watch games, it kind of creates a full experience of Donkey Kong Jr. through the Game & Watch. The original new widescreen version is level 1, the later cabinet version is level 2, then Donkey Kong 2 comes in as part 3 to finish the series. What is this, Kingdom Hearts?